It's all about everyday living, lifestyle, health, and every other thing every other person is too afraid or shy to talk about. We bear it all. This is Conscious Chat with me, Faith Idaudu, on perfectnews247.com. Remember to follow us and engage on all our social media handles. Twitter, it is Perfect News 4. Facebook, it is Perfect News. Instagram, Perfect News 4. And subscribe to all our YouTube channels, perfectnews247.com. And our website is also www.perfectnews247.com. Hello there and welcome to perfectnews247.com. This is Conscious Chat with Faith Idaudu. Conscious Chat is the platform where we talk about so many things ranging from health, lifestyle, entertainment, a little bit of things here and there, basically about life, what you and I experience day to day and all of that. So today I am going to be focusing on the area of agriculture. Agriculture is one of the areas that has been so much neglected in this country, and only in recent years as the government now decided to refocus on this sector. Before now, it was purely the economy was purely based on the production of oil, but coupled with the fluctuation we have been experiencing and the low output of oil production in the nation, this has forced everyone and even the government to look into other areas, and agriculture is one of those areas. Basically, agriculture is the science and art of cultivation on soil and rearing of livestock. That's just a simple definition. All right, and like I said before, a lot of people are beginning to look into this area thanks to so many factors. Unemployment, the fact that the production of oil has not been all too good, and so many other things which is making people look into this area. And we should know that agriculture is one of those things that we can easily actually start around us without so much of a big capital, coupled with the fact that we have very rich fertile soil in the country. So many other things are to our advantage, and you should understand that in Africa, Nigeria is one of those nations that has a very viable soil. Because I mentioned it earlier on that we have a very fertile soil, which is very encouraging for agriculture. And also there is no other country where farmers are more advantaged as they are in Nigeria as regards demand for the produce. If you take a look at most of the food that we eat in Nigeria, they are majorly farm produce. You talk about the vegetables, you talk about pepper, tomatoes, yam, even the fruits. Most of these are farm produce, and most of them are actually gotten from local farms around us. And you should know that definitely everything has its advantage and its disadvantage. Just as any business that you would like to start would have its advantage, it will also have its challenges. So agriculture also has various challenges that you might encounter, but I tell you that the advantages are actually much more than the disadvantages. And like I said earlier on, I personally have seen a whole lot of innovations in the agricultural industry. I see a whole lot of people on social media who are actually doing great things with agriculture. Talk about actually rearing of livestock, to planting, taking care of plants and making this available to the public. Yes, they encounter problems and challenges during all of these things, but even in all of this, we see them doing well and bridging a gap. Daily you go to the market, and sometimes, or in particular seasons, you hear of that there's scarcity of tomatoes or there's scarcity of pepper. Meanwhile, if we had adequate structures in place to actually preserve all of this our farm produce, I believe there wouldn't be issues of shortages when it comes to those seasons when those plants or vegetables are no longer available. Anyways, we will talk about all of that, but first I would like to give you some reasons why farming in Nigeria is a very lucrative venture. First of all, Nigeria has a huge population of over 200 million people. This is twice more than the populations of Zimbabwe and South Africa combined together. The entire population of Nigeria depends on stable foods, like I said before, produced from farms and other farm producers to cater for our daily needs. And more than 80% of Nigeria buy their farm produce from the market. I am sure you can actually relate with this. You as a person, look into your immediate family, look into your surroundings. You see that everything we eat, most of the things we eat, comes from the farm. I believe there is no human being in Nigeria that would say like 70% of what you eat doesn't come from the farm. So you see, everybody in Nigeria eats from this area. So why do you think it won't be a very lucrative venture? In fact, if you take a survey and from the research, you will see that there is actually a gap. There is a whole lot of gap between what farmers are producing and what people are demanding. So there is a lot of space for you to fill. And also, like I earlier mentioned, Nigeria has a large expanse of fertile farmlands across the nation. This is a known fact. And also, the Nigerian government is seriously turning its attention into promoting farming in Nigeria. I mentioned this earlier, that due to the fact that there's been a low turnout of production in oil, we are beginning as a nation to focus on other areas, talk about diversification, and agriculture is one of those areas where the government is seriously looking into. All right. And also, Nigeria boasts of the highest purchasing power in Africa when it comes to importing of other farm produce from other countries. Nigeria actually boasts of having the highest purchasing power, and this is actually a shame to us as a nation, considering the fact that our lands are fertile and we can actually produce all of these things. I think sometimes last year I saw a video of someone who went to the supermarket and she saw gari that was brought from China. It was packaged, produced in China and shipped into Nigeria, and people were beginning to wonder, gari of all things, gari that is surplus. But even as much as you think gari is surplus, from research, we do not produce enough to actually sustain us as a nation adequately and enough to actually export. So there are a whole lot of areas that you can actually look into in agriculture that would actually benefit you. We still can meet the demands, how much more the demands of exports that we should be exporting. All right. And also, by the time Nigeria attains its full capacity of utilization in agriculture, farming will become a great foreign currency earner more than oil. This is talking about the future of agriculture, that soon it's going to actually be even more, it's to have more value than oil, because finally we will see agriculture for the gold that it is. I like to think of agriculture as a pulse of raw gold that has not been fully tapped into in Nigeria. I told you earlier on that I see a lot of people on social media. Do you know there are people who actually have farms that produce some of those fruits that you think are not indigenous to Nigeria? I know of somebody who grows strawberries on our farm in Jos, and she supplies a whole number of people across the nation. These strawberries, they look good, they taste good, because I've actually ordered from our ones, and I couldn't believe that these strawberries were actually from the soil in Nigeria. Yeah, she produces them on our farm, she harvests them. In fact, if you go to our page, you will see she'll show you where she planted them and how they harvest and how they package in kilograms and they send out. So, and even apples, yeah, she has apples too, and a whole lot of other vegetables, and they all look fresh. And if you buy from these people, you see that you're buying organic, you are sure of the source. It is not from a farm that the produce are being grown with chemicals that you do not understand. They show you everything, they bring you into all of this process. So there are a whole lot of people who have gone into agriculture and are doing great things in this sector. So it is one sector that you would want to look into. All right, next off, I'll be sharing with you some areas that you can actually look into if you want to go into agriculture. One of those areas is rice farming. Up till now, we have still not, as a nation, been able to cater to the demands of rice in Nigeria, and we still import rice from other countries, when we can actually look into ourselves as a nation and actually do good by ourselves and make sure we reach the demands of the nation and even export to other countries. So this is an area that has not been fully looked into or tapped into. So if you are looking into going into agriculture, you should look into rice farming. It is a very lucrative venture. All right. Second off is cassava farming. Cassava farming, as you know, from cassava you can get fufu, you can get gari, and a host of other things. And I assure you, as a nation, we have still not been able to meet with the demands of the nation. And do you want to talk about the export opportunities? Do you know how many people outside of Nigeria actually are in demand of cassava, be it in terms of fufu or gari? Do you know people who live abroad actually want to have a taste of the indigenous produce from cassava, and they do not, they can't actually easily access all of these things because we are not producing enough? So if you decide you want to go into agriculture, this is another area you want to look into. And also let me let you know that if you would like further information concerning some farmers in Nigeria that we know of on this platform who are actually doing well in areas such as this, you can actually reach us on our social media and do. On Twitter, it is Perfect News 4. Use the hashtag whenever you want to engage. Perfect News 247 is your hashtag. All right, I was saying that if you would like to get more information concerning real life farmers who are actually doing great in these sectors, you would like us to give you their address or their handles or information about them, please reach us on our social media handles. On Twitter, it is Perfect News 4. Instagram, it is Perfect News 4. And do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is perfectnews247.com, and our website is www.perfectnews247.com. Do not forget to always use the hashtag Perfect News 247. So I was talking about various areas you can look into in agriculture, and number 3 is plantation. Everybody eats plantain in Nigeria. You can use it to do a whole lot of things, bole, dodo, and so many other things. So there is no time that people don't actually want to eat this, and a lot of people demand this. So it is one area you can actually look into. We still, as a nation, have not been able to meet with the demands of the nation. So you can definitely want to go into all of these things. And all of these things I have been mentioning, they're actually things people eat every day. So imagine a nation that has over 70 million people, and we have people who eat all of these things daily. Imagine the whole amount of requirements that people will actually require of this farm produce. So there won't be shortage. We need more people to come into agriculture so that we can actually meet the demands of the nation. And also next off is poultry farming. Talk about birds, livestock, popularly birds, that is chickens, and turkeys. I think that is the major popular poultry that we eat around here. So a lot of people actually engage. You and I know almost every day we get to eat chicken, we get to eat turkey. They make use of them in eateries, they make use of them in so many areas. So it is one area that you can't actually exhaust. We need to meet all of these demands and supply that is being demanded as a nation. So poultry farming is one area you might like to look into. Another one is also pineapple farming, beans farming, catfish farming, goat rearing, snail farming, maize farming. These are all popular farm produce, common farm produce that we eat every day. And if you take a good look at it, there come a time when you go to the market, you do not find some farm produce. And if you look at overseas and outside the country, such a thing never happens. You don't hear of it's the season of banana, it's the season. They have all of these fruits and farm produce all through the year. Why? Because they have good storage facilities. And that is one of the things I'm going to be talking about in the challenges that are facing the agricultural sector. Okay, coming back to what I was saying, when it comes to certain seasons, you do not find some of this farm produce. Now imagine if you have to go into agriculture and you go into the area of taking care of storage facilities for farm produce, so that we do not have a time or a season where we do not have all of this farm produce. For crying out loud, all of this farm produce, they are staples. They are things we make use of every now and then. Is it beans you do not eat? Is it corn you do not make use of? Is it beans? Is it catfish? Is it rice? Is it pineapple? And a whole lot of other fruits. We need them to constantly be in season. If all of those farm produce are available all year round, imagine the profit it will fetch us. Imagine how much it will improve our economy. So these are just some areas I would like to look into. There are so many other areas you can actually look into if you want to go into farming. But two major areas that I personally saw that was quite lucrative in 2018 and is still lucrative even in this year is snail farming and catfish farming. A whole lot of people went into it last year and it was quite lucrative. I have personal friends who are personally into catfish farming, and trust me, they are doing so well. Nigerian household, we make use of catfish in most of our meals. Maybe not the fresh one, the dry one. There are some people who actually have catfish farm, and they make available for you the fresh one, they make available for you the dry one. If you want it barbecued, anyhow you want it, you would get it, because a lot of people use it to make soup, they use it to make various dishes. People use catfish every day in parties, as they make use of it in pepper soup, they make use of it in so many places. So you can't actually run out of people who need catfish. It is not possible. We're in Nigeria, and imagine the opportunities that are bound for you if you are able to actually export some of these catfishes. If you dry them well, you can actually export them. There are a whole lot of untapped opportunities in the area of agriculture in Nigeria. So like I was saying, snail farming and fish farming, if you would like to get contact on people who will mentor you, people who have real farms and are actually succeeding in these areas, I'm talking about snail farming and fish farming, please let me know. Which is on our social media handle. On Twitter, it is Perfect News 4. You can send us a message in the DM, or you can make use of our handle to ask us any question you would like to know concerning this. Remember, I am talking about snail farming and catfish farming. Other areas, I can also help you get people who are actually into the areas too, but these are the two major areas that I know a whole lot of people who are actually doing well. So if you need any information concerning this area, I would let you know. There are some people who even do the necessary the jobs for you, most especially in the snail and fish farming sector. There are people who actually help you harvest it. They will even help you dry the fishes. All you need to do is come and buy from them in bulk and resell. So you do not have to go through the stress of having to harvest them and dry them. And even snails, there are some people who actually sell these snails already with their shell removed and cleaned thoroughly, and they repackage them in these sealable nylons that you use to keep food in your fridge, and they just sell them to you already cleaned, no shell, no wahala. You will just have to buy from them and resell. So a lot of people are doing well in this sector. You want to look into it. Do not forget, you can ask me questions concerning these areas on our social media, and do Twitter, it is Perfect News 4, Instagram, it is Perfect News 4, and do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is perfectnews247.com, and our website is www.perfectnews247.com. do not forget, this is Conscious Chat with Faith, and today we're looking into agriculture as another means that can actually sustain our economy instead of everyone relying on oil. All right, next up, I'll be talking on the challenges that the agricultural sector is facing, or that you as a person, if you decide to go into agriculture, might actually face. I've talked about some of these things at a glance, an overall look, but I'll be picking them one after the other and talking about them right now. All right, first off is poor infrastructure. I talked about this earlier on, that there is actually a gap in the area of storage facilities. We do not have proper storage facilities. The government has not made available to us proper storage facilities to actually help store farm produce, and that is why a whole lot of farm produce go bad. Sometimes, okay, I want you to try and picture this in your mind. Sometimes you see some of these big lorries and trailers bringing farm produce from the north down to the south, and when they get to the market, you see a whole lot of them has gone bad, most especially tomatoes, peppers, vegetables. A whole lot of them, probably like half of them, would have gone bad because these lorries and trailers spend like days on the road, coupled with weather conditions, the heat, and a whole lot of factors that they might have gone through. By the time they get here, they become very bad. What we have proper storage facilities. I mean, there are trailers and lorries that can actually house cooling vans that can take all of these vegetables and bring them down to the south, still fresh, just the way they were picked from the farm without anything wrong with it, but we do not have these facilities. Okay, even if the government can do a whole lot for us, or they are taking so much time in providing all of these facilities, what about us as individuals? If you want to go into agriculture, you do not necessarily have to have a farm. What if you are the person who bridges the gap of bringing about suitable transportations to transport all of this farm produce from wherever they are being brought from in rural areas down to wherever they are needed in good condition without them getting spoiled? Storage facilities, that is one area that you can look into if you want to go into agriculture. So like I said, and another area to look into is the fact that there are a lot of bad roads. I watched a report, or should I say it's a documentary, last year concerning farmers in Edo State, somewhere around Auchi or so. They were complaining bitterly that they had lots of farm produce, majorly fruits, and if you see these fruits, they were big and juicy. Majorly, I saw pineapples, I saw pawpaws, pawpaws and pineapples, and a lot of them were already going rotten and bad. What was their complaint? Their complaint was they do not have people who actually run transportation services down to those areas to bring them down to the farms. And sometimes by the time these transport services eventually show up, most of this farm produce would have gone bad. Now imagine if we had good roads and we have good transport services to actually bring all of these things down to the towns where they are needed. Don't you think it will put more money into the hands of these farmers who have actually labored to produce these things? Don't you think it would actually have an overall effect on the economy of the nation as a whole? So bad transportation and also bad transport means is one of the challenges facing the agricultural sector. And if you think you want to do something, or you want to go into the agricultural sector, you might want to be looking into providing suitable transportation means to transport farm produce from the rural areas to wherever they are needed in good condition. So that is one area you can look into. And another challenge facing the agricultural sector is dormant research facilities. We have a whole lot of agricultural institutes all across the nation, and most of them are not functioning. Some of them are functioning, but they do not have enough machineries to actually keep the facility running. And if you do not have machineries to keep the facility running, then the facility is already a failure. So we need the government to look into the area of actually funding a whole lot of these research facilities so that it can actually boost the overall working of the agricultural sector. There are a whole lot of untapped opportunities in agricultural sector. All right, next up, I'll be talking about education and modernization. We have a whole lot of equipment out there to actually make the whole farming process easier. But I want you to remember that over 70% of the people who are actually the real farmers in Nigeria are people who live in rural areas, and they do not even have access to most of these modern equipment. And even if they have access to them, how would they be able to make use of them when they do not have the proper training to make use of this equipment? So another area the government can look into is to provide modern equipment for these farmers, and also organize trainings for them to understand how to make use of this farming equipment in order to ensure maximum output. Okay, imagine a farmer who probably has say a rice farm in the rural area, and he has access to machineries that can help him harvest this rice faster and actually remove the peels or the shells faster and package them faster. Do you want to tell me that it will make a whole lot of difference? It will make a whole lot of difference, because it will be faster for them, and they will be able to produce all of these things and send to wherever they are needed on time. So the government needs to look into these areas. And even some of the machineries that have been provided by previous governments or the present government, some of them have gone bad and they need to be serviced. So the government needs to also look into this area of servicing the machineries that have been put in place earlier on. Some of them are not totally bad, some of them can be repaired or fixed, and the ones that need to be replaced should be replaced so that these farmers can actually ensure maximum output. All right, I also talked about food storage, the storage of this farm produce earlier on, and under it we also talk about food processing. Some of this farm produce needs to be processed or properly packaged. Let me use the word processed before we can actually even use them, and they do not even have access to all of these things. So if you are thinking of going into the area of agriculture, also look into the area of processing and storage for your food, so that you do not go into it and at the end you are not able to actually sell off because you do not have parameters in place to store or properly process your farm produce, so it doesn't go bad before it gets to your eventual buyer. So look into the area of food processing. Then the government should also put up various policies in place to actually encourage agriculture. Part of those policies that should be put in place is loans and funds for people who are willing to actually go into the area of agriculture. I told you within the last few years this has been a sector that has been flourishing. I think one of the things, innovations I saw in this sector also last year was bee farming. A lot of people decided to go into bee farming and it was quite awesome. We saw people who went away from the whole traditional packaging into really cool packages that you could even mistake for foreign products, and they are actually produced here in Nigeria. So the governments can actually do well by actually providing loans and funds for people who are ready to go into agriculture. And concerning the areas of looking into our research facilities too, it is from all of these research facilities that we can get good seeds. I mean, there are a whole lot of seeds and produce that people can use for their farms out there that are not even good enough or that will not yield maximum results. So if we have these research facilities in place, then they will also serve as places where people can get good seeds for their farming. And also, if you talk about getting fertilizers, it is from these places they can get fertilizers that are actually suitable for their various farms and soil. All right, so I just talked about some of the challenges facing the agricultural sector, and I'll just do a run through. First of all, amongst the things we talked about government policies, creating loans and funds, making them accessible to people who want to go into farming. And we also talked about maintenance and providing of education and training for farmers that are in the rural areas, and providing them with equipment that can actually ensure maximum output or better output for these farmers. And also we talked about upgrading of our research institute and also providing of machineries that can actually aid and upgrade this research institute, so that overall the agricultural sector will be working well. So these are some of the problems and challenges that you might likely encounter if you decide to go into farming. Next off, I would like to talk about one or two areas that you can actually get funding for your farm. Well, basically, to my own knowledge, I don't think there is any area where in agriculture where you can actually go into without actually having, no matter how little, a small capital. I have not found that area yet, but if I find that area, I will let you know. But I think there are some areas that do not actually require huge startup capital. For example, the fish farming I talked about, and also the snail farming. And I also remember I told you that if you do not actually want to go into the farming for starters, but you want to probably raise your own capital, I told you these people, there are some people who actually provide you with this produce in large quantities, and you can be distributors for them. So from selling for them, you can actually raise your own capital to actually go into your own eventual farming. All right, aside from being a distributor or buying in wholesale from these people and reselling before getting your own farm, you can also save up. If you save up for a particular period of time, you'll be able to get something to start something up with. Another area is for you to pool funds together. You can pool funds together. Say you are a group of 2 friends, 3 friends, 4 friends, or if your friends have money that they're not making use of, you can map out a plan and tell them, okay, this is what I want to go into, this is my profits, the profit I am expecting. Just write out a viable plan that you. So I was talking about how to get funds for you to actually start your own farming, and I talked about crowdfunding, where you can meet with your friends, your family, and get them to actually, should I say, loan you the money to start up. But you must make sure you have a very good plan on paper and let them know how your plan is going to work. Else, I don't think anybody wants to lend you money in this economy without being sure that you're going to do something good with it. So you need to go and do your paperwork, do your homework, do your findings, find out how your profit is going to work. Make sure you think about all the challenges you're going to encounter before you decide this is how much your profit is. Just in all, be realistic with your plan. All right, so you can meet with your friends and family to crowdfund your project. Better still, you can meet with your friends and see anyone that has similar ideas with you or who would like to go into agriculture, and you guys can put your money together and decide to start a venture. That is another way. Another way for you to get funds is for you to go and collect loan from the bank. And I think there are some loans that are actually accessible to you from the government. You can find out about loans that you can get from the government as regards getting your own farm. And it is very important for you to actually identify a problem. I think this is one of the major things for you to think about before you decide to embark on anything, be it a business and be it farming. Make sure you think about a problem that whatever it is you're going to go into is going to solve. I know of one snail farmer who said the reason why she started the snail farming was majorly because she realized a whole lot of people are lazy to buy from the market and have to remove the shell and have to clean it. So what she does is she has a snail farm. If you want to buy with the shell, fine. But she realized that majority of people would rather buy the one that she has already removed the shell and washed. So what she does is she breaks the shell, she washes them thoroughly, so that when you buy them, you don't even need to wash or do anything. Probably rinse it and use it to cook straight up, no stress. And she realized a lot of people prefer to buy that more, so she decided to be doing that more. So when she harvests a snail, or if you decide you want to buy, she doesn't do them that. If you decide you want to buy, she will help you with the deshelling and she will help you with the cleaning and just package it for you, and all you need to do is take it to your house. I also know of somebody else who has a vegetable farm, and you can buy your tomatoes, your pepper, your carrots and all of that things, but if you want them already sliced or blended any way you want it, she will also do that for you. So that is another way. They realize that, okay, you can actually go to the market and get all of these things, but convenience, they want it to be convenient for you. Okay, we have all of this produce, but instead of you buying it and going through all of this stress, we can also take the stress off you. We can help you clean them, cut them, chop them, blend them, however you want them. We will do that for you. So identify a problem you can solve when you decide to pick any area of farming. You can look around you and decide, okay, what kind of food do people around here eat the most? Is it gari? Is it amala? Is it pounded yam? Do something. Think about something creative that you can actually do with it. It's not just enough for you to start the farming. You also have to think about selling. How do you think you can sell some of this your farm produce better? What do you think you can do to actually entice people to buying from you? I've given you some examples, and do not forget that I told you if you need more information concerning some of these areas that I've mentioned, real people who are into this farming, and you would like to get connected to them so that you can learn on how to start and how to keep it going. We are very willing to let you know some of these persons. So you can reach us on our social media handle. Twitter, it is Perfect News 4. Instagram, it is Perfect News 4. And do not forget to use the hashtag Perfect News for all of your engagements. You can send a DM, send a message, or just at us on any of our social media handles. And do not forget to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is perfectnews247.com, and our website is www.perfectnews247.com. So I just talked about making sure that you identify a problem before you decide, okay, this is the area that you want to do. And I also told you and mentioned that you should do a survey of your area and find out what it is they really need in that area. And do not forget that it is also very important for you to make sure that whatever you are imputing into your business is the best. You don't want to go and get seeds that are bad. By the time you now plant them, your produce is bad. And you do not want to get livestock to rear that are dying or that are weak or that have disease. you would not get your maximum output. So if whatever you want to do, be it livestock, be it planting, you need to make sure you get the right input so that the total outcome and your effort doesn't go wasted. Also, you need proper management, and these are some things you just can't get by just sitting. You need to do your own research. You need to visit people who are actually into this thing so that they can tell you how they have been able to successfully manage their own businesses. So you need all of this knowledge, be it you going on Google to research, or be it meeting people to actually help you with knowledge on how to properly manage your farm and the business in all. Do not forget, it is also very important for you to actually make sure wherever you decide to site your farm is a very good location. Think about protection from external forces such as the weather, animals that eat your crops, animals that can easily kill your livestock and all of that. You need to think about all of that. Do you know there is also soil testing? Do you know it is also imperative for you to test the soil? There are some soils that they look good to the eye, but they are not actually fertile or have enough vitamins that can actually aid the growing of your crops. It is only when you test that soil that you'll be able to know. So these are some of the things that only people who have been in such areas can tell you, or proper research can tell you. So I talked about making sure the environment where you site your farm is safe for your crop and both your livestock. So these are some of the things you actually want to look into. That is all I'll be able to tell you concerning this area. Do not forget, if you would like to get further information, if you have questions, if you would like us to link you up with real farmers who are successful and doing great in this sector, please let me know. Do not forget, you can reach us on our social media handle. Twitter, it is Perfect News 4, and Instagram, it is Perfect News 4 also. And do not forget to use the hashtag Perfect News 247 for your engagement. Ask me any question and I will do my best to answer you. That is why we are here on this platform. We are here to educate you. We are here to make your life better. And do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is perfectnews247.com, and our website is www.perfectnews247.com. That is all I'll be able to tell you today on Conscious Chat. I'll see you same time next week. Bye.